Hi, I'm Severo from HoRNet Plugins. Today we want to show you the new track Coherence. Track Coherence is the latest plugin we made, and we made together with the Buildzer, a producer from Milan. And the aim of the plugin is to show you that dynamic range of your tracks is meant to be used both on single tracks and master bus. And everywhere you need to know how dynamic is your tracks and your sounds. It actually computes the differences between the RMS level of the track and the maximum peak he found. This is called the dynamic range, or crest factor, as somebody else calls it. And it's very useful to know if your track is gonna be use all the storage space you have at your disposal, or you are wasting energy in short peaks that are going to cause problems both in mastering and mixing, because digital allows even the shortest transient to be recorded, and these may cause problems later in the mix process. To tame these peaks, if the sound has too many of them, you can use compressors, limiters, clippers, and analog emulation effects, and so on. So I'm gonna show you the guy and explain you what every meter does here. The guide is divided in 3 columns. You have on the rightmost the range you want to target, because you want to first target a dynamic range. By default it's set to 12 dBs, because it's very useful for the most dynamic content, say a drum loop or vocals or something like that, single drum hits and so on. The meter here in the middle is the coherence meter that shows the amount of coherence with the dynamic range you've chosen. So if it says 100% here, you have actually 12 dB of dynamic range. This moves together with the music, so it's instantaneous. While on the bottom you have the average dynamic range you have in your tracks found since the last reset, and the maximum dynamic range. Internally the plugin has an intelligent gate, so silence is not considered in the computation, and also very low levels are not considered. The gate adjusts its range according to the maximum peak found, so it's always intelligent and tries to not cut out sounds that actually deliver contents. And on the leftmost you find the levels, the real-time peak indicator, and it's a true peak meter, so internally it uses oversample to show intersample peaks, so you know that these are the true peaks and not just the digital ones. For more information you can search on the internet and you will find a lot of stuff on the intersample peaks. Down below you have the RMS level and the current peak of the meter. Clicking this indicator here will show you the maximum peak. Both meters has a peak hold indicator in red, and also the peak here once clicked becomes red. The reset button resets all the computing here and starts the summing and calculation over once you click it. So let's try to see it in action. I have a drum loop here, and let's see where the dynamic range sits. So we have already compressed the loop, because its dynamic range is 10 dB in average, so it's not that wide. But we have a maximum of 22 dBs of dynamic range. I don't know if this is what we want. I would say that I could be already happy with that, because for drum loops I try to target the average with the range. I try to match the average with the range, because for the nature of the sound, you have a very dynamic sound. We have the maximum peak of -2 dB and an RMS of -11 dBs. This is probably because the sound is peaking very high and it's already quite compressed and contains also some sound of the room. So the first thing I would do is to lower it a little bit, so we can have a safer peak by 4 dBs, so we should be safer, and this should lower also the RMS. Let's see how it behaves right now. Now we have a safer peak, a more reasonable RMS level, and the dynamic range hasn't changed, because it's not related to the absolute level, but to the difference between the average level and the maximum peak, so it stays almost the same. I would say that I want to target, for the sake of experimentation, the average of 8 dB. How can I do that? Well, first I would use some tape emulation, and here our tape comes at help. I will use the auto gain setting, the +3 VU reference, because I want to hit the tape very hot to lower the peaks, the short peaks of the recording. So I'll enable auto gain and press play. He did the calibration, and we have now the new dynamic range. Let's see how it behaves now. Thanks to the tape emulation, we already reduced the dynamic range, cutting off the short peaks that are being compressed by the tape effect. Both the average and the max dynamic range have reduced, and now I will use our Multicom Plus with FET emulation, FET emulation, to catch the very short peaks and compress it even further. That's why FET compressors are very useful in drum drum processing, because they have a very short attack time that can be used to keep the peaks under control. I would use an 8:1 ratio. I say that I want minus 10 dBs of compression. I enable the auto input, so I want to tweak the input so it's at the 0 VU, and auto output. So the compressor has set itself, and now we can have a new look to the dynamic range that we have reached. we reduced it even further, probably too much because I wanted to target 8, and now I'm sitting at 6 as average, and I could reduce the amount of gain reduction. Say I want to target -6. So now if I check it again, yeah, here we are. It's sitting at 8 dB of average gain or average dynamic range. So it's what we wanted, and the sound is ready to go to the next stage of the mixing, because we are now sure that our dynamic range is not too much and we are not wasting our bandwidth, the space we have for the recording of the minimum and maximum levels, and it's not going to cause problems on the mastering later on. So the track coherence is available on our website. We don't have a demo for that because we don't provide demo for meters, because providing a demo would means to limit the function in some way, and we don't limit meters, but we offer 100% money back guarantee. So if you want to try it out, you can go on www.HoRNetPlugins.com and download the plugin, and if you have any suggestion, just write us. We are always open. Thank you very much for watching.